Hey guys, Lowell Tech Fix here, and today I'm in the studio with
Kevin Roth.
Kevin Roth, back to do another episode of Tech Fix Talks, and today we are going to discuss bad habits or, little mistakes that ruin your day as a technician, and we're also going to talk about celebrating wins because it's something that is really important that a lot of people don't do as a team. That's going to make your job a lot easier and a lot more fun, let's just face it. So let's start with you, Kevin. What are some of the things that you either have done in your career or that you see your technicians or any technicians? What are some of the things that could be avoided or habits that technicians have that ruin your day?
I'm not a very big reader, so I would always skim over the repair information and I would jump around. Before honing in on the diagnostic skills, I was the big guy who would run to Identifix, try to find the one or two items that I could find, or try to find something somewhere, test those to try and get to the answer faster. And it always used to throw me off because I'd put on blinders and I'd have that tunnel vision where I wouldn't be able to follow the procedure properly. And I'd always skip one step, or I would just jump around to where I felt it was most pertinent.
That's funny that you say that. I was just having this conversation yesterday, literally with a shop owner. He was like, okay, I showed the 5-part video. This is what he said to me. He said, I showed the 5-part inspection video to my team, and they were like, why do we need to do this every car every time? Mm-hmm. So this is kind of why the answer to that. And it's exactly what you're saying. Because if you don't do the inspection on the car and you jump right to the diagnostics, what happens?
You end up going down a rabbit hole chasing your tail.
I can't tell you how many times in my career that I went in with an electrical problem and I did a 5-part first, and I realized, like, oh, this vehicle's been in an accident. Like, there's orange peel or there's new paint or something like that. There's always a tail. So, like, the left front turn signal won't work. Then, you go right to the source of the problem. Yeah. It's pretty easy. So, the cars will tell you stuff. You just got to listen. You just got to watch. You just got to open your eyes. But you also have to be observant and pay attention. So, number one, what we're talking about today is glossing over the important stuff. I would have to say that probably you were doing that because you wanted to move faster.
Yeah, and that could be one of the downfalls of flat rate, right? So, again, if we're going to talk about the upsides, I usually have to point out the downside too, that if you don't have the proper mindset, you go into that and you're just trying to cut corners everywhere, it'll come back to bite you. Because if it's not, even if you don't misdiagnose it, odds are you'll have a comeback,
Right. Well, I think that, on the counter of that, that is a downside of flat rate, for sure. You got to move fast. However, there are other areas where you're compensated. If you 100%. Have enough skill and ability, you should be getting paid enough to be able to take that moment to get the details and do a proper diagnostic. So it kind of meets in the middle somewhere.
Sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We just had a car in the shop, it was probably about 6 weeks ago, and it came in with for a no-start concern. The vehicle gets towed in and it starts immediately. So we're pretty big on pre-scanning every car. So we go and do the pre-scan. The technician is looking for a no-start concern. Now, the customer didn't say crank, no fire, and also didn't say didn't crank. They just said the car doesn't start, it got towed to us. That's all the information we had, and we couldn't get in touch with the person who actually owned the vehicle. So we're going to take a quick look at it. Technician said, I don't know, it starts, I can't figure anything out. I happened to walk by the car, and I could just walk by, and I saw rodent droppings all along the edge of the fender. So I take a look, and I said, hey, where's the starter located? And he goes, well, it's right here. I said, what are the codes in the system? And he goes, well, we had a crank and cam signal correlation code, and it was all like circuit and voltage supply codes. I was like, did you pull a wiring diagram up? He's like, no. So we pull the wiring diagram up and we see what it shared. I was like, well, either we have a PCM output issue or we have this shared wire that goes to everything, because I doubt we had 12 components fail at the same time. We have a shared component here, right? So this power, this voltage source we're looking for, I said, what would be in common that you see under the hood here? And he stood there for a second. He goes, oh, look, mouse poop. I'm like, so where do you think we could see a problem?
Yeah.
And again, that's just come over the years, but like he's a newer technician, just wasn't thinking to go that far in. He just, well, it's starting now. It's fine.
Right. It's starting now, yeah. Well, again, that's a visual inspection.
Yeah.
And that's with experience.
Sure.
You get to learn. We're talking about mouse poop. But you get to learn when you see things like mouse poop, like there's probably going to be some chewed wires in here somewhere. So
you'll notice some insulation on the hood missing. You'll notice little pieces here and there, and they're going to make a nest. So
I think we've talked about this before right here. I can't remember who it was with. But I've had cars towed in that wouldn't start, like especially with people in Austin, Texas, who would come down in the winter, and they'd go head back up north in the summer because it gets really hot. I had cars. I remember this one Subaru in particular. It was towed in and wouldn't start, and I pulled the air filter housing off, and it was chock full of acorns and dog food.
Yep.
It couldn't breathe. So
It's normal.
again, inspections. All right. So what's another thing? Because I see organization of your tools and your time. I see technicians really struggle with this, especially younger technicians.
Big time.
Yeah. So do you have a protocol in your shop that you follow? Like, do you have any sort of inspections of your technicians, reviews with them? How does that work?
We do. I'm kind of lucky. My foreman is really organized, a lot more than I am.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I'll even go to say he has OCD on this. But like, he's always working with the technicians, and he will start helping them reorganize their boxes. Like, I mean, that's his role. Because I mean, everything in the shop, all the production hinges on him, right? So
Yeah.
every time he goes to help a technician, they're just so disorganized they can't find their stuff. He's like, all right, we need to take 10 minutes here and just start to organize your tool cart, right? The tool cart's the thing you're going to move around with you the most. So should be where your go-to stuff is. But that's just something we've done all the time. I mean, and even when we have new people come in, we give them some time to get the cadence down. But then when we start seeing you can see where the holes are, where they're like, you got this mountain of stuff on their tool cart, and they have to go weeding through it all the time. It's like, why don't you just take 10 minutes and clean that up? It'll make your life so much easier.
If you're digging around looking for tools on a tool cart, you're not doing it right. That's for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, your tool cart should be for one or two things. You know, like my tool cart was mainly for inspections, right, and light repair. So I knew exactly where I haven't been in front of that tool cart in a long time, but I bet you I could find the 10 millimeter without even looking at it.
Yeah.
It's just right there.
Just know by feel.
Yeah, and then that makes you so much faster. So much faster. So proper organization. I see, like, we talk about this a lot too. So time management. One of the big mistakes that I see that technicians do is they'll go after the harder jobs first.
Yeah.
And they'll put off all the little jobs. So like those are what I call silver bullets. Like, I got a brake job, I got tires, I got, a tune up, and then I got, maybe an exhaust manifold where I know some studs are going to break, right? I'm not going to attack that exhaust manifold first. I'm going after the silver bullets, the spark plugs that I know are going to be easy, the brake job that's going to take me 25 minutes, tires, and then I'm going to get back on the other one. Because what happens if I don't? Like, if I do it the other way around?
Yeah, I mean, we do teach, like, through our shop, we teach that, hey, if we can get the more customers we can keep on the road, the better. So obviously, if you can go ahead, knock a couple brake jobs or an AC compressor, jobs that have no real prospect of going badly, then we're going to knock out those first, get those customers on. What I don't want to do is start that 8-10 hour job, have that go south, and then have to call 5 people and tell them their car's not getting done.
Yeah.
I mean, at the very least, even if, we don't have loaner cars, we can make it up to somebody with one customer. But if we have to do something for 5 customers, it starts to get expensive, right?
Well, there's a big difference in the amount of money that you're going to pay for 5 rentals than there is for one.
100%.
Yeah.
Or every loaner's out and you just got to figure something out quick, So
absolutely.
make it work with one.
Yeah.
But
where are other areas, especially for younger technicians, that you can see or you could advise them to improve?
What I see, and again, I see it twofold, right? I see some technicians that'll come in and they won't spend enough time doing research. So they immediately want to ask somebody because they're looking for the silver bullet. And then I see the exact opposite of the spectrum. Somebody will come in and what they'll do is they will take so much time trying to figure it out themselves that they'll burn 2-3 hours when they could have just asked for help. So you got to find that cadence. Like, man, I'm really stuck here. I've already exhausted some options. So what we do is we just make sure that you've exhausted the service information. You've exhausted all of the other resources we've given you. And like sometimes that even comes down to check through Identifix and just see if there's any direct hits. You can do a visual on that part and then make your game plan of how you're going to approach this diagnostic, and then move from there. But when we do this, like I said, it's the exact opposite. I haven't met somebody in the middle until we've taught them yet, but it's either I looked at it for 30 seconds and now I need help and they're going to ask everybody.
Yeah.
Or I've looked at it for 2.5 hours and I'm going to keep going until I find it. Yeah, like really stubborn.
When I was a young technician, like 18, 19, that was me. I was like, hey buddy. That was my Identifix was the dude next to me.
Yeah.
So I see a lot of foremen and service managers doing this. They have an actual write-up. And I think it was Don Jackson, he calls it the daddy syndrome or I can't remember what it is, anti-daddy syndrome or something.
Yeah.
But essentially, you have to check off the boxes. Like, I've checked out the service information. I've checked out Google or whatever Identifix direct hit. And then they have to write notes right?
Yeah.
And if it's an hour diagnostic, they have to get to this point within a certain amount of time.
Sure.
Half an hour, 8/10 of an hour. Once they fill out that sheet of paper and they bring it to the service manager or the foreman, they are willing to give up their diagnostic time.
Yeah.
And it's mandatory that they have to give up some sort of diagnostic time, because what happens is what Kevin is saying here is a lot of technicians will go for the easy money, go right to the foreman, and then you exhaust your foreman.
Yeah.
Or you spend 4 hours on a 1 hour diagnostics.
Yep.
So it might seem unfair, but in reality, it's not. It's making you a better technician.
Sure.
You're going to go through that process and check everything off very quickly before you go to somebody else. And you're really going to you're going to be a better diagnostician for sure.
We do a similar, we don't have a form, but the way we do it is you'll come over and ask for help, or even if I'm walking to the shop and they ask me, and I'll just, the first thing we always do is, what have you done so far, right? And if you can't tell me off the top of your head what the field trims are, not that the field trims are good or bad, oh, they're bad or they're good, I want to know the number.
Mm-hmm.
If you can't tell me what the voltage drop reading was, if you can't tell me what you've
Right.
done so far, what you've tested, you haven't done enough.
Yeah.
Right? So go perform. And now, if you don't know how to run those tests, I'll come and help you all day long. But
Yeah.
again, or like, I watched the other day, we have a really young technician in the shop. He grabs the scope and he's looking at it, and he's never had it out before. And he's just looking like, I don't know what to do with this. I was like, wait. Last thing I want to see is the magic smoke come out of my scope.
Right.
So yeah, I was like, just hold on there. We'll get you some help. And he was determined to try, but
Yeah.
it was funny. But again, I don't want nothing blown up in the shop.
Right. Yeah. Power probes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fantastic tools until they're not.
Until there's a $3,000 module involved. Yep. Absolutely.
That was me all day long. I worked for Mercedes, and we used to have drivers go down in the PCMs, and I would energize that, and you'd get the car to fire. But when you made that call wrong, and you had a driver go down, and you energized it, man, it would make everything else go crazy.
Yeah.
It was amazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
I ruined a couple PCMs.
Yeah. I think you will at some point in your career.
You're gonna cut your teeth somewhere.
Yeah. You're gonna smoke some modules, in your career. You might leave oil out. God forbid you leave a wheel off.
Yeah.
That's the unforgivable one for me.
I've never done that, luckily. I just, that comes down to carelessness. Now, I know you can get distracted, but at all points, like, we don't, my service advisors, when they walk out, they will not interrupt the technician that has a torque wrench in their hand. They'll just stand there and kind of wait. And then the technicians have been instructed, like, I need 10 minutes. That's all they need. The service advisor will walk away, right? There's nothing that important that we need to interrupt somebody torquing something. I mean, because it's usually critical, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And you got to, think about the type of environment that you're working in, right? Mm-hmm. You got 3 or 4 cars on, clipboards or 3 or 4 cars on your screen, and you're trying to fly through a 4-wheel mountain balance. People are talking to you, yelling at you. You got customers waiting for, whatever. So it happens really easily. There was it was a major, let's just say, I'm not going to say the name of this company. It's in California. They're a national brand. They do oil changes. And for a while, they decided they were going to do tires and brakes. Mm-hmm. And if you have followed in this industry, the historic Ford Explorer, with their wheel problems and wheel bearing problems, they're like, what was it, 80s or 90s, right? Mm-hmm. Where it was like the wheels were just coming off left and right, literally. This larger conglomerate started doing brakes and they started doing tires. On one particular Ford Explorer, they did all 4 wheels brakes, and all 4 wheels came off that Explorer. It was national news.
That is crazy.
So, yeah, that's a pretty big mistake.
I don't want to make the national news for that.
No, absolutely not. I think probably there's something wrong with the hiring and the training process there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, no QC being done, and there's no checks and balances in that.
Running them down with a torque stick.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right, man. Well, that's cool. So, again, common mistakes technicians make: not being organized. Not being organized with your time, not taking the proper steps to diagnose. What else? Anything?
When you have a misdiagnosis, because this is something that I see will ruin a technician's day and sometimes a week. They'll misdiagnose something, especially if it's big, costs a couple $1,000s. You're going to have to learn that that's going to happen. You're just going to have to drop that. and let that go. I know I'm not telling you just to be like, I don't care and go on to the next car, but don't drag that misdiagnosis into the next car. Because what will happen is it will just ruin the next one and the next one. If you're thinking about the one before that you misdiagnosed or something you broke, it'll just carry into every vehicle from there on after.
Yeah.
So, and I've watched way too many technicians just get in their own heads about it. And then they make wrong calls on multiple vehicles. And then all of a sudden, your owner or your foreman's like, "What is going on with you? I don't know what's going on." And you drag one misdiagnosis into the next. So sometimes you might have to take a minute, take a walk, go grab a soda, do something, and just take 5 and then go on to your next car and just.
So that's something that it kind of parlays well into what we're going to talk about next.